We're hunting through the junkyard today to find new axles for our LJ. Do we want half ton? Do we want 3/4 ton? Do we want 1 ton? Ford, Chevy, Dodge. Gonna throw a lot of information at you. Let's go. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining us. So today I'm gonna probably give you a lot of information. I am not an expert by any stretch of the imagination, but we are gonna be looking at axles today, specifically for Jeeps. But really, there's gonna be a lot of information here that could help like Ranger guys, S10 guys, full-size Chevy guys, basically anything that needs a driver's side drop front axle, which is a Ford. So we'll look at predominantly the Dana 44 and the Dana 60. We've got a lot of examples here out in this yard in an undisclosed location. And so we'll start small. We'll look at the smaller, like early Bronco stuff. We'll kind of move up to the half ton, and then we'll go ultimately what is probably gonna go under my LJ, and that's 1 tons. So let's get started. All right guys, we're starting small here, and we're starting with the early Bronco, which was made from 66 to 76. Is that right? I don't know, I had a 74 once. Nevertheless, all these had a 9-inch rear end, and up until about 73, 74 or so, you could get a 44. And this one just so happens to have a 44, and I know that simply because that's what it is. But seriously, it's got the bigger diff. It just looks quite a bit different than a Dana 30. So if I remember right, this has a 58-inch wheel mounting surface to wheel mounting surface. So like some of the baby Broncos, like the 80s Broncos, some CJ could use this narrower axle, but you will find these in a lot of more narrow applications. So then looking around here, here's an older one. The older ones are all going to have like a 60, 70, 80. I don't know how to tell the difference, honestly, between those. I think this is a 60, but this is going to be a 30 spline axle, drum brakes. For the longest time, this was real popular, but it's kind of, honestly, out of date. You can get a lot better stuff with the newer trucks. Here's a close-up of a 9-inch. As you probably know, 9-inch, I mean, you can still buy them aftermarket. So these are very popular. Of course, the third member here drops out completely. And so they're just very popular. They're very strong. They have a 9-inch ring gear. So they're strong, they're great. In the trucks, you'll see this is a very popular mod because they're 70, goodness, you're gonna kill me. I can't remember the width, but they're pretty wide. So these are very popular, great axles, 31 splines. It's a semi-float, good stuff. We're gonna skip that. All right, so now we've come across an F350. Now, F350s always gonna have a Dana 60, okay, in the front. Here's how you'll know. Obviously from the F350 on the side, first of all, look at the hubs. So these things are massive, okay? It's got a straight kind of neck to it. On a Chevy, if you're determining a 44 and a 60, there's kind of like a neck down here, and I'll try to find a picture and put it in. So that's how you'll tell. And then also, this is going to be a kingpin axle. So instead of ball joints, it has kingpins. So this is a pretty desirable axle. And yeah, let's keep looking. A dually 4-wheel drive Ford, always gonna have a Dana 60 in the front. You won't be able to tell with the hubs, you know, like we just did here, for example, because they're hidden by this dually nonsense, but that's always gonna be a 60. Okay, skipping around, I apologize. Here's a Dodge. This is a Cummins truck. This is going to be a Dana 60. Now, what's different from the Dodge Dana 60, it has the completely undesirable central axle disconnect. And you can see basically this side of the axle is cast, making them very, very weak. It's a two-piece axle design, and kind of like on a YJ, there is a collar that will slide over. When you put it in 4, a collar will slide over, locking that shaft together. Not a real great design in my opinion. It's air actuated, or vacuum actuated rather, and it's just a failure point. No bueno. All right, we're gonna walk to the other side of the lot here. Here we've got a Chevy 3/4 ton, and probably the most popular rear axle for any swap ever is the 14 bolt. And aftermarket support is fantastic on these. The only problem is how gigantic that diff is. So to get about the equal clearance to, you know, let's say I don't know, my LJ on 37s and a 44, you'd have to go to like 40s, 42s to get that same ground clearance. Now, there is a modification that you can do to the 14 bolt, making it a 13 bolt, and you basically you shave the bottom of the diff off. I'll try to put a picture in that. And you can get quite a bit of ground clearance with that. Okay, so here is an example of a full-size F-150, late 70s. Here's how I can tell you what year it is. So from 78, 79, all the Dana 44 front axles from a Ford had what's called cast wedges. So hopefully we'll be able to see this here, but this whole section here is cast steel. Okay, so you've got your regular tube there, and then it goes into a cast, and it has what's called the wedge here. And if you're gonna just run it with the radius arms, this is a decent axle. It's high pinion, you get lockouts, it's a 5 on 5.5 bolt pattern. However, if you're doing a swap into about anything else, you don't want that. What you actually want is the pre-78 44 that has weld-on wedges. And here's a fantastic example right here. This welded wedge, you can come in here and cut this wedge off, and it's just your straight metal tube. So it's a high pinion, and you see these put a lot in all kinds of vehicles, really. You know, do a SAS conversion on a newer 2500 Chevy like we just saw. You can put it in an XJ, TJ, LJ, what have you. And this same truck is gonna have that 9-inch rear axle. 31 spline, drop out center section. You know, the aftermarket support for these is crazy. But this guy here is a 30 spline axle. It's got smaller U-joints. Popular, but may not be the best for anything over, I don't know, maybe a 37. All right, so the real reason we're here is for 1-ton axles. I plan to step up to a 40-inch tire on my LJ, and I gotta have these Mondo axles. So I wanna show you these in depth. So 99 to 04, you got a Dana 50 or a Dana 60, and the run-of-the-mill 10.5 Ford rear axle. Now, let's start with the rears. Plentiful, obviously. They are a 30 spline. They're what's called a full float. And so, basically, this is your axle shaft. You can unbolt this from this flange here, and you can pull the axle all the way out and still have your tire and wheel attached. So you could do it in your driveway, basically. These are big, these are massive. The aftermarket support is pretty decent, not fantastic, not something like a 14 bolt, but this will do us just fine running 40s. Ox, our friends over at Ox Locker, make a locker for this, so that's probably what we'll end up with. Now, switching over to the front axles. So I'm gonna make some people mad right now, but just bear with me. So let's see, right here we have, this is a Dana 50 and this is a Dana 50. Now, I don't know that much about what they came in. Like, they were in some excursions. You might find it in like a F-250 diesel. So here's the deal with these. So I mean, they're just massive. They don't get a lot of love. Well, this year in specific, the 99 to 04s don't get a lot of love, especially the 50, because the 50 on the long side axle shaft, it's 1.5 inches, which is massive, but it necks down just before it comes into the diff, and it's known to break. It doesn't have as big of U-joints as a 60, but I've heard of people just beating the snot out of these things and it doing just fine for them. So unfortunately, there are no 60s out here to show you, but and I'll put in a picture. We know that this is a Dana 50 because of this kind of neck down here. Notice how there's kind of a step. On the 60, it's kind of a more, I don't know, gradual. There's not this this step up here. So we know that that's a 50. Now, it's a 30 spline axle. You can upgrade them to a 35 spline outer, and that involves some machining and stuff like that. People do it. And to know that all these Fords here are an 8-on-170 bolt pattern, which is kind of unusual. Your Dodge that we looked at, the Chevy we looked at, is an 8-on-6.5. So you're going to find more wheels for those, less wheel options for these, but they're becoming more popular. So let's buzz over here, and they do have an 05 and up Dana 60. So we're going to come over here and look at this. So this is the Mac Daddy as far as you know, your axle swaps go, driver side drop application. It's got bigger U-joints. It's got 35 spline shafts. It's got the bigger ring gear over a Dana 50. It's just, I mean, the aftermarket support is crazy. It's a ball joint axle. But right now, this is what everybody's doing. This is a little wider. This is 72 inches wide, where our 99 to 04 is 69 inches wide. So I could have this axle, but for me, there's a whole lot of cutting involved here. And we will be using Barnes 4x4 for our trusses, our truss swap kits. And people do it, but my goodness, there's so much work to cut all this off. And you could argue that by the time you upgrade, you know, the earlier style axle versus cutting this one up, it's probably going to be about a wash. But it is what it is. So this guy is where it's at. And then over to the 05 and up, 10.5 rears. So the extra width you'll be able to see right here is really taken up in this hub. So still a full float unit, it's just wider. And how these are desirable, you could get these with a factory electric locker. So that's a pretty big thing. We can go all the way up to a 538 gear in this combo right here. Back to making people upset, I'm gonna run a Dana 50 for now, unless I come across a cheap Dana 60. I can go to 538 gears. I should be able to custom make an axle shaft for that side by using a newer 60 and then cutting it down and having it resplined. Yeah, most off-road like machine shops should be able to do that. So 538 gears, an ox in the rear, 538s. I think Detroit I think Detroit has a Dana 50, or we can do like, there's little lunchbox lockers and stuff too that we can do, but that will be, this won't be a quick project. I'm gonna take my time with this. I'm not even ready to get them yet, but these two right here are mine, as marked with this cool little deal here, and I'm really looking forward to putting these in my LJ. And if you've stuck around for the last bit of this video, see this? It's a 5.7 Hemi. Guess what? I own it. All right, guys, I threw a whole bunch at you there. Tried to hit you with some decent facts. Again, I don't know all there is to know about these things, but I know enough to be dangerous. So you can basically, forward axles are the way to go if you're looking to either put full widths or just upgrade your Jeep. Some like early Bronco stuff will bolt into a Ranger. So there's all kinds of options here for you, and hope we've covered enough. So otherwise, guys, I hope you learned something today. If you have any questions, certainly hit me up. If I don't have an answer, I will get one for you and do my best to answer your questions. Appreciate you stopping by, watching the video. Like and subscribe if you want to see other, TJ, LJ content, and we'll see you on the next video. Take care.